Welcome to Commander's Daily, everybody. It's your one-stop shop. Everything going on with the Local 53. I'm your host, Bob Matthews. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. Our draft previews continue today. We're going to look at offensive tackles. Yeah, I know, but that's the position group that we got on the docket today. But first, we've got some big breaking news when it comes to the new RFK Stadium. Reports coming out that the club and the city could be close to a deal on a new stadium complex. So let's go back and give you the timeline on this. This story broke Wednesday afternoon. NBC4 in Washington was the first one to report it, saying that both the city and the Commanders close to a deal to build the team's new home on the RFK Stadium site. This according to two people with knowledge of the negotiations who spoke on the condition of anonymity, blah, blah, blah. So this agreement comes after a bunch of months of talk between Mayor Bowser and the team. This picked up a lot of steam once D.C. got control of the 174-acre, site there on the Anacostia. Congress was the one that did that. So now they got to figure out how to make this work. And apparently the mayor and the team, at least in general, are on board with a lot of the generalities on this. It would be a $3 billion project, according to sources. And the most important thing, the team would pick up about $2.5 billion of that, with the city contributing the rest, and that mostly being infrastructure. How does the team do that? I mean, that's a lot of cash, isn't it? Well, these are billionaires we're talking about. The NFL is probably going to kick in a chunk of it through the stadium loan program that they have. But the big thing here is that it's not going to be a huge public commitment here. And that's important because you've got council members like City Council Chairman, I believe it's Phil Mendelson, who says he doesn't oppose a stadium. He just doesn't want public money paying for it. I think this is going to shake out is that what the city's going to do is build the infrastructure both around the stadium and this mixed-use development. They're going to have the stadium. They're going to have shops. They're going to have apartments, all that kind of stuff. It's going to look a lot like the Navy Yard or what the Capitals are planning for Capital One Arena in downtown. There is opposition to some of that. There is a local activist group that wants publicly affordable public housing built there. So we're going to have to see how this shakes out. I found that interesting, though, because Mayor Bowser in a town hall on Wednesday actually used those words, affordable housing. So that's going to be a component of this in some way, shape, or form. Again, it's a way to go. I still think it's going to be a couple of months before we hear something, but it is very possible that by the time we get to training camp, the team may be breaking ground on a new stadium, and that would be exciting. All right, let's move on to the draft. We are talking offensive tackles today. Yes, I know. They addressed a big part of that by signing Laramie Tunstall in the offseason. But you need depth, and you got to look ahead. And with the Commanders not having only those, that first and that second round draft pick, and going to be doing a lot of business late on day 2 and on day 3, it might be the right time to invest some late round picks into some guys that could become contributors in a couple of years. Guys, that have a chance to learn how to be NFL players. So let's take a look at 3 that I think when you look at where they fall on these big boards, the consensus of where they're ranked on the big board and where the Commanders pick may make sense based on everything. So let's go ahead and start with Josh Conerly Jr. Conerly went to Oregon, considered a guy that has good movement skills, pretty good at size and length to the tackle positions. He does get a little bit anticipatory sometimes, but he's a good prospect. Good in zone blocking, quick hands, for hand fighting and resetting, and shows a lot of competitive toughness. He is inconsistent with his hand placement and striking locations, according to the scouts, and he lacks some anticipation at times. Has to get functionally stronger. But remember what we talked about yesterday. When you see things like this, inconsistent hand placement, maybe anticipating a little too quickly, stuff like that, late hands, that's the kind of stuff that can be coached up. So when you hear of things that can be coached up, you're like, okay, again, that's something that you can fix. So Connerly may very well be a guy. And if I remember correctly, I think his rank on the big board, if they went with a tackle in the second round and he was there, might be a guy that they would look at. His PFF big board rank was number 32. So you may want to keep your eyes on Josh Connerly second or early third day. Second guy I want to look at is Marcus Mbo. Now, again, here is another guy that is that's somewhat of a project. He is ranked number 84 on the big board. So you're looking at that as like a day 3 pick, somewhere if he falls somewhere in the 4th round or even the 5th, there's somebody that, there's somebody that you would definitely have to think Adam Peters would have his eye on. And again, read the top line scouting reports on these guys. Yeah, he's small right now. They say he struggles with NFL-level strength and pass protection, but he moves extremely well. And here's the important thing on the scouting report that I saw. Should get a shot to start at guard or tackle at some point in his rookie contract. So that means that if he's not exactly NFL ready this year, he will be pretty soon. Some of the things that scouts like about him: he's quick, well-coordinated footwork and pass protection, relentless leg drive when run blocking. And this team, the running game is fast coming back into fashion. Always generates a pop at contact. And again, the cons on him: hey, lighter weight, making run blocking more challenging. That's something that you can fix. You can get the guy bigger. Again, narrow base of footwork in his stance. Well, again, that's something that you can coach up. So if the Commanders say, we're not liking guys at other positions, let's take a look at the tackles, say in the 4th or 5th round, okay, maybe that's a guy that you might want to keep your eye on, Marcus Mbo. And finally, let's talk about Cameron Williams. Cameron Williams is from the University of Texas. This is one of the ones that, again, would be a prospect. Now, he's a big guy, 6'5", 335, but the scouting analysis on him, a true bet of a prospect. Lots of penalties his 1 year as a starter. That shows inexperience and inconsistency, they say, but he's got starting caliber, length, and space. Excellent size for a tackle. Ideal arm strength and looks to get longer than the height suggests. First step explosiveness is really, really good. He's got a strong grip once he locks onto, and they say that he's a finisher. He's a mauler, a lot like they've said about other guys like Brandon Scherf when he was coming out. Again, only a 1 year starter, so this is a guy that's going to need some time. And again, he's got to clean up his penalties, but that's a part of coaching a guy up. So if you really believe in him, then Cameron Williams is a guy you might want to look at as a day 3 guy, maybe an early to mid day 3 guy. All right, that's going to do it for us. We got to get out of here. We will keep you up to date on the stadium situation and continue our look at the draft on our Friday episode. Have you a great one. Remember, like the wise man once said, if you're out on your bike tonight, as always, do wear white.